Hey guys, I'm Steph.
And I'm Richard. Question from BellBell1711. I think you said previously that you both have cars and drive in Korea. I've also definitely seen so many people saying that Korean driving is hard or challenging. How did you either build your confidence or just get better at driving in a foreign place? We are in Florida right now.
Yes.
We're at your dad's place.
So we've been doing a lot of driving.
Is it a stupid question to ask where do you think it's more difficult to drive, US or Korea?
I don't think it's a stupid question to ask, but I think for us, especially since we do both have cars and we do both drive in both countries, South Korea is a lot harder.
Should we tell them what kind of cars we have in Korea?
Sure, let's do it. I have a little 3-cylinder compact car. It's called a Matisse and it's like a little cute thing. I scoot around the road with it.
Yeah, it's a Daewoo Matisse. It's a 1999 model. It has still less than 100,000 kilometers on it, which is not that much for a 16-year-old car, 15-year-old car. Oh my God, it still runs really well. In fact, when we travel around Korea, we take your car because it's more comfortable than what I have. I have a van. It's a Kia Towner, and it's a 2001 model.
It looks like the Mystery Machine, guys.
Except for the color, right? It's like shaped like the Mystery Machine. But the cool part about it is it runs on natural gas. When I bought it in 2009, I paid the equivalent of $1,100 US for it, which is really cheap, and it still runs really well. So like I can't get rid of it, even though it's not very comfortable to drive in and I don't like going long distances with it anymore, but it still runs really well. But the situation with us owning vehicles in Korea is really very different. We don't use them that much. In fact, yours is probably sat parked a month before we left Korea.
Yeah. Public transportation is great.
It is great. It's amazing. In fact, we get disappointed in the United States when we come back here when there's virtually no public transportation except in like New York City. We're in Florida right now. There's no public transportation anywhere. Everyone has a car. I guess I just can't emphasize enough that we don't drive that much there, even though we do drive. We do like to take the cars on trips, and we take our cars to work and back, and for you it's school and back. That's actually the same location at this point. Other than going to school, where do you drive your car?
Around Korea, when we go on trips or to and from school, yeah, you're right. That's pretty much all oh, grocery store. It's great for taking to the grocery store because you can fill it full of bags and not have to hand carry as much stuff.
I was wondering if you're gonna remember the grocery store because that was the other place I was thinking you go. Like she literally drives her car to school, back home, and on the way back home to the grocery store, that's it.
That's pretty much it. And there's a little bit more leniency when it comes to traffic laws, like stoplights and turn signals and all that jazz.
Going through red lights, going on the crosswalk on the scooter when people are also walking and driving the scooter on the sidewalk.
Or turning rights on red and not even slowing down to turn right. I actually got into one accident. I was turning left with the green turn signal and I went a little bit across the marked dotted line and a guy was pulling out on a red light. He was turning right and he didn't even slow down. He just went and T-boned me.
Right, and you had kind of cut the space, but also if the accident had occurred in America, it would have been a 50-50 split because the person needs to come to a complete stop on a red before they turn right. The reason why we know he didn't was because he had a little camera in his car on the other side of the rear view mirror, and so we got to see video of the whole accident and replay it over and over and over again. I mean, this guy comes up and doesn't stop at all and he ends up hitting you because the space is cut, but if the law in Korea required cars to stop at red lights, the accident might not have even happened.
And actually, this is another thing. If you do like drive, for people who do drive in Korea, if you're curious about driving in Korea, another reason why I prefer public transportation is every time you go out on the road, you can be liable. I had a friend who was turning off onto a turning lane to go onto another road and he had a green light, everything was good, and a big old truck decided that he wanted to get over and smashed into the side of him. Clearly, it was the big dump truck's fault, but he was still considered 10% liable because he was driving his car on the road.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Be careful.
Be careful, yeah. If you're driving in Korea, be careful. And between she and I, when comparing to the United States, I think in Korea we just don't drive nearly as much, even though we each have a car, which is quite unusual.
There's many reasons for that, including we can usually walk to a lot of places that we need, like small markets, bakeries,
restaurant, corner store,
bank. All of those things are like, so we can just walk there, or for places that we need to go, if we want to go into Seoul. I would never want to drive my car into Seoul because I don't want to fight the traffic and I also don't want to fight the parking.
People have asked me if I drive into Seoul, and the answer is occasionally I do, but usually it's to pick up furniture. Like, that's why I got the van in the first place.
Or to go to Costco.
Or to go to Costco, yeah, occasionally. Probably go to Costco like once a year now. I will probably go back in the fall when we go back to Korea and spend several $700 mostly on meat and cheese is what we're getting.
For you, it's kind of it's like an all-day affair. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh, an all-day affair. Actually, it's not. If I can go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in the middle of the day, I can get in and out. If you go on a Saturday, forget it.
Yeah.
Traffic's terrible. Look, what do you think is the biggest difference between driving in Korea and driving in the United States?
I think the biggest difference is the number of cars on the road per space capita. I think in Korea, you just have so many people and it's in such a small area, especially in the Seoul, Suwon, surrounding community area. It's packed. People are fighting for road space, people are fighting for parking spaces. It's just not easy, not comfortable. You don't really drive to enjoy it. So you have this whole different car culture where, you know, you drive to kind of show off and that you have a car, but you're not driving to go and have fun.
I was just gonna say, more and more now, I think you're seeing middle-class people buying cars even though they don't necessarily need them, like you were saying.
You know, the richer you are, the nicer the car you have. Your big K-pop stars, they've got the fancy smancy cars. Do they always drive them? I don't even know.
Didn't Jang Kun-suk crash a Porsche?
I think he did.
Yeah, that happened. He's on the way to the airport.
That's another reason. I would never want a big, fancy, expensive car in Korea because who knows what's gonna happen to it.
And I think advertising plays a role in this need that people feel to buy a car because they need to make money. It's the same anywhere around the world. But in Korea, it's more limited road space, like you were saying.
I actually see them a lot on Korean dramas. I feel like Korean dramas are almost car advertisements now as much as they are cell phone advertisements because they're advertising the newest, the latest, the greatest cars because they're driving them around. Where do you put them? That is the question because I feel like each and every year, more and more cars go on the road. There's less and less parking space and there's more people fighting over a limited space.
I think one of the biggest differences between car culture there and here in the United States is here you do still see classic cars on the road, especially during the summertime. There's no such thing as classic cars. They all want the newest, latest, greatest. That's what most people want. My grandfather wanted the newest, latest, greatest. That was the way he was. But there you don't see any classic cars at all. And I feel myself being sucked into this, oh, I should buy a new vehicle. Even though I'm not Korean, and even though I don't fit into the Korean mold, I still am like, oh man, I wish I had a brand new Mini. Like that's what I want. I want a Mini. Like they got Minis in Korea and they're gorgeous.
First off, I gotta say, they don't have classic cars, but I think part of the reason why you don't really see the classic cars is because they didn't really have that back then. You know, they were up and coming country until like the 1980s.
Right, right. And so like nobody would have a car
pre like 1980.
No, it'd be pre 1990, I would say.
Yeah.
Even taxi drivers get brand new cars. Everybody's got a brand new Sonata or a brand new Kia. They do.
Meanwhile, we drive old cars.
We're the only ones that drive old cars, yeah. I mean,
hipsters. I'll just call it at that. We're just hipsters that drive old cars.
Well, I think that attests to the fact that we don't drive that much. Driving's not that important, and it is a little bit more dangerous. I actually, now that we're married, am more nervous about you driving to school, which is really just one main street, 15 minutes away from our house.
It's okay.
Makes me like, yeah, like I never used to really consider that. And now I'm like, man, please be very careful. Whereas here, this is not as dangerous. The roads are a little bit wider, there's less cars on the road. All that being said, I like driving in Korea.
I do too. For me, I think it's actually made me a better driver because you have to be on your toes. You have to be aware, not only of yourself, but all the other people around you and what they're doing, what's going on, and you have to watch out for them a lot more than you would driving here in the US.
I think your dad's home?
Yeah, I think so. On that note, that's it for today's Life in Korea.
Yeah, click the blog post for a few more stories about driving in Korea or more information. Also, if you have a question for us, drop a note in the YouTube comments, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hallyu Back, or in the comment section on our blog, HallyuBack.com.
And like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and subscribe you guys for Asian drama and Life in Korea videos.
That's it for today's Life in Korea. Experience it!
Seriously, like white knuckles sometimes. In a taxi at least. My first taxi, my first taxi? I got in, the guy, he was working a computer mouse, he had a cell phone up in his hand, and he's trying to drive and has the TV playing all at the same time. And was going through red lights and speeding. Talk about a welcome to Korea. Korean driving traffic.